Hey guys, Dr. Sean here. I thought I would do a live this morning before, Super Bowl Sunday's upon us, and we're getting ready to get ramped up, and we're all excited about this, and there's lots of great things going on, so while I wait for you guys to kind of join me this morning, I want to bring to you a little bit of what I call a health report. I like to bring these things up because I think they're critical. I think they're super important for what we're trying to achieve and how we're trying to help one another just better our lives, right? This is what it's all about. Now, as you all know, I'm a Raiders fan. Hope the Patriots lose. Sorry, I'm still very bitter over the cheating that I felt we had years ago when Brady started all this. But I hope it's a great Super Bowl, and I hope you guys get to enjoy that. Now, in this past week in the news, we've had a couple things come up. One, we had this thing about soaring drug prices. Drugs are on the rise. Everything's going up. Then we have all of a sudden the big boys, the three big CEOs. You got Buffett, Bezos, and his diamond. They're all the head guys of Berkshire Hathaway, JP Morgan Chase, and Amazon. They all got together and they said, you know what? Healthcare is out of control. The article was actually titled The Hungry Tapeworm of Healthcare. Now you look at it and you think, tapeworm, it's ravenous. You never satisfy it. It just keeps eating. Now this is coming on the heels of a video that I did earlier this week about soaring drug prices. Did you guys know that the average rate for inflation in this country over the past 20 years is 3.22% per year? That's how much up inflation goes. So cost of living basically, right? That's what we're looking at. The pharmaceutical industry over that same time period, if you go back 2 years ago, 17.1% growth in their product line. That's insane. They haven't lost in 20 years. And probably not prior to that. It's always growing. It's growing faster than inflation by fivefold. And you look at that and you think, if it keeps going, how can anyone afford it? And this is where we come into problems. So you saw the big CEOs all get together and they all started talking about, like, we got to do something different. We got to find a way to try to cut healthcare spending, try to cut the dollars that are being spent on a system that we'll talk about in a minute. They're really ain't doing that great. So they got together and they decided, you know what, we're going to create a new company. We're going to fund this and we're going to create a new company. And the idea behind it is, can we take our employees and offer them something above and beyond what's currently out there? Because our current insurance models, as we all know, if you're self-employed, if you're anybody out there that's buying their own insurance, it's a zoo, right? Premiums are skyrocket high. We're not getting much for it anymore. I remember when I came out of school 20 years ago, the average deductible, guys, was around $250. You might have seen one for $500, but there weren't many. The average in Illinois now is over $5,000. $5,000 deductible. That's insane. And you look at that and you think, well, what do you get for that $5,000? Do we get the greatest healthcare system in the world? Do we get this amazing system that, oh my God, I don't mind spending my $5,000 on my deductible because I'm getting a Ferrari? But that's not really the reality, is it? Reality is very, very, very different. And that's what this entire article was based around, was that we have the greatest healthcare system in the world for acute traumatic infectious disease. And that is awesome. Those big three, that's the thing we tear up. The problem is that's not what's killing us anymore. 150 years ago it was, but now it's not. Hygiene. All these things that we've done in the last really 100 years have had a huge impact on infectious disease and things of that nature. The accidents, the traumas, OSHA laws, all these standards that we put into place, not allowing a child to work in a mine when they're 10 years old. All these things have had wonderful, wonderful benefits for reducing mortality to acute traumatic and infectious diseases. So then what's killing everybody? Well, according to the World Health Organization, you can go on their website and look this up. Never take what I say as true. Always look it up, right? Always look it up. So when they go digging through this thing, if you look up the World Health Organization's website, you type the United States of America, it's going to pop up there, 2016. That's the most complete data we have. For that year of our mortality rate that we suffer in this country, 88%, 88%, almost 90% was directly due to chronic degenerative disease. So then we say, okay, so what's the big deal, Doc? Right? Why are we doing this? Because our model is designed to handle acute and traumatic care, infectious disease, right? It's flu season. All you see all over the news, everyone's dying from the flu. But when it all comes said and done, in reality, it'll be about the same as it always is. So we look at that and think, okay, and that's not even a scratch into the chronic degenerative diseases that kill people in this country every year. So we look at our model and we say, man, it's really, really good at this, but it's really, really bad at that. And when you're doing this for that, it's not a good mix. So we go through and we see these CEOs, they're coming out and they recognize it. And they've got 1.1 million employees. The only problem is they're not all here. They're all over the world. They're global. They have 100,000, maybe 200,000 in the United States. And that'll help. But it's such a small percentage of the huge population, it won't make that big of a difference. So as we get through this and we start thinking, well, gosh, what's going on? Healthcare, guys, is a $4 trillion a year industry. And it's hard for me to say that because when I used to talk a few years ago, it was a $3 trillion a year industry. And I'm thinking to myself, this thing's gone up $1 trillion. What do we get out of it? Here's what we get. We spend more money than any other nation in the world, more than anyone. We are double the next closest nation to us. And yet our health care, depending on the source you look at, from CDC to World Health Organization, ranks somewhere between 38 and 42nd in the world. 38 or 42nd. You spend double the money. It's like being a Yankees fan, right? You spend a lot of money and you don't win a World Series. We're not even making the playoffs. It's a huge problem that we have. So when you look at this, you think, okay, so what are we getting out of this? We're spending all this money, and this year, big headlines. United States life expectancy drops for second year in a row. It came down. 2 years in a row. First time it's happened in a century. The last time was the massive flu outbreak at the end of World War I. Well, you killed off all of your youth. That's why it dropped. Here we are now, we're losing them. And they said, well, it could be the opioid epidemic. I don't know. I'm not seeing hundreds of thousands and millions of people dying from opioid problems. It's a huge issue. It's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. But that's not doing it. It's chronic degenerative disease. It's a healthcare system that's trying to handle something that they're not trained for. See, guys, here's the deal. When you look at healthcare, it's a lot like that little kid's shape sorter ball. Right? This is what I always use in practice. You remember the one that was red and blue and you had the little star and the little circles and the squares and so on. Our modern medicine has the circle and they own the circle. You walk into their practice with a circle problem, it's a home run. They got it and it's a great place to be. But what if you walk in with a triangle? Or a half moon? Or the oval? Or the octagon? Or the star? They're going to make that circle fit. So they're taking something that doesn't quite fit and they're trying to manage it. They list that there's 3 core causes of disease. In my world, I always say stress is the cause of all disease. Men are the cause of all stress, right? There's mechanical, there's emotional, there's nutritional. There's all these things that affect the body. But in the medical world, they label it differently. All right, there's organic causes of disease. What does organic mean? In the body. On the body. All right, so food, diet, drink, air, those are in and on. Poison ivy get on the body. Viruses, bacteria, funguses, that's organic causes of the disease. And our medical system's pretty good at that. Then there's structural things, right? Traumas and accidents, and we're pretty good at that. But then you get into this weird little functional thing. There's this functional group of diseases. And the functional is all kind of the woo-woo stuff that people don't want to talk about, right? It's the genetics, it's the emotions, it's vibrational energy, it's autosuggestion, it's all these things that we're really not sure what to do with. Now, it wouldn't be a big deal if the functional side was about this big. But medicine freely admits that of the 3,500 known disease states that affect the human body, roughly 20% of those combined are in the organic and the structural. So things that are in the body, on the body, and traumas and accidents. That means 80% are in the piece they don't really know what to do with. So if we look at that, we say, all right, that's an 80-20 rule, kind of, sort of. So we apply that to what we know here. We apply it to the idea of the World Health Organization saying, look, 88% of your deaths are due to chronic degenerative disease, not acute traumatic. So we look at that and we think to ourselves, okay, where were the chronic degenerative? Oh, that goes in that little piece they don't know what to do with. They said it's 80. World Health Organization says 88. They said that 12% then are acute traumatic, and medicine recognizes it roughly 20%. I'll let them slide on 6 or 8%. I'm okay with that. But we go back to this idea that You've got a model that was created 150 years ago to handle acute traumatic care and infectious disease, and that's what killed everybody. But it's not what's doing it today. So now when you've got this model today trying to handle something it's not designed to do. We got a football game on today, right? You know the Super Bowl's on today. If I were to go out there and try and play with those guys, I'd get killed. I know what a football is. I can kick one, I can throw one. I can't do it at that level. It's not my game, right? I kind of sort of understand it, but it's not my game. And this is where I'm bringing this all around. Guys, we have to have a solution to this problem. You've got to find the cause. It's okay to have heart disease and cancers and strokes and diabetes and Alzheimer's and all these things. All right, we got them. And it's okay to say, well, it's probably age. It just happens, the natural course of life. It's not. It's not. You look in the Bible, what's it tell you? How long are we supposed to live? 120 years? Right? It's not. That's the key to this, guys. We're supposed to survive. We're supposed to survive being vibrant and healthy. If you don't feel healthy, if you don't feel like you have your life in your hands, then you're giving it to someone else. And in this case, you're putting it into a $4 trillion industry that does not care, in my opinion. It also looks like it's in the opinions of Warren Buffett and Bezos and Dimon. They look like they're agreeing. So when you have the top CEOs of the top 3 largest companies in the world stepping up saying, "God, we have a problem here. We have a problem. We got to turn it around, guys," and this is the key. So when you're looking at this big thing, you're saying, gosh, what can we do? How can we stop this hungry tapeworm that is consuming our healthcare system? They're not even sure. They're putting together a panel. They're putting together a community. They're putting together a think tank to try to figure it out. You know what they're going to find? We got to start preventing these things. We can't let something go into a full-fledged disease and then try to deal with it then. We have to learn prevention. And that means you have to look at what causes dysfunction in the body. Find that root cause. Remove it. And when you remove it, you can restore perfect health. And that is our quest. It is something I have made for 20 years in my practice. Everyone that walks through my door knows I want them to have perfect health. And what's that mean? Nothing hurts. Nothing aches. Nothing's tired. Nothing's run down. Everything works the way God intended it to. What's so wrong with that? Why is that so foreign to conceive the idea that, gosh, let's try and balance the body. Let's try to give it what it needs. Let's try and improve its overall health. And if we do that, amazing things can happen. But what we're going to see with this big conglomerate getting together and dumping tons and tons of money into it, what I'm afraid of, they're going to just find different drugs. Different things to throw at this and throw at that. Because how well has it worked so far? Right? Life expectancy's down 2 years in a row. How well has it worked? Did I mention, by the way, before I get off of here today, that around the rest of the world, life expectancy isn't going down. It actually went up, including most of the third world nations, where they don't have clean water and food and all these shelters and things that we have the privilege of here in this country. It's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me. Guys, it's time. It's time to change something. It's time to make a difference, right? Click these little shares, put the little thumbs up so people can see it for us so we know we can get it out there. I need your help, all right? I'm Dr. Sean McCaffrey. I consider myself to be the Robin Hood of the healthcare world. Share this, like it with your friends. Let's get the message out. Have a great Super Bowl.